It's the very tired blind lady Karen. I'm going to title this one The Day After the Day Before. I am still at Leader Docs for the Blind. Today is Thursday. Friday we have training. Then in the afternoon we have, they call it celebration. And celebration is celebrate not just the people in O&M, but especially the people who are dog handlers. They have been here for 3 weeks away from their jobs, their friends, their family. It is a big time commitment. So yes, celebration should be very much celebrated. But we get to come too. Yesterday was my 60th birthday. Now, I have not been away from my birthday, and it's not a big thing. I don't care either way. But I have not been away on my birthday since I was in college. And we're talking like late teens, early 20s. I turned 60 yesterday. So it was kind of weird being away on my birthday. But everybody made me feel special all day. All of the staff I encountered, even people that were not working with me, like my O&M instructor is Garrett. He does a lot of things with a lot of, like, 2 other O&M instructors because they have similar teaching styles and they tend to pick the same areas. So, if you're running, say, routes north-south, you might hear another one of your classmates with another O&M instructor running stuff east-west. Or, if we're practicing street crossings, you might be on one side of the street, they might be on the other, you pass each other. It's not actually a bad thing because you're getting used to passing, going across streets with people. But, even people that I didn't know that, quite obviously, they just go, oh, she's the older lady with the gray hair. They stopped and they were like, hey, you're Karen, right? Happy birthday. And one of the guys that we hang out, his name is Bob. He's from Florida. He has well and rightfully earned the nickname Florida Man or Gator Guy. People have been calling him both because, before his sight went down, and he's almost totally blind. He can see a very little bit. And bless his heart, he is one of the reasons why he came here is he wanted to practice doing things blindfolded as if he has no sight, because for him, it may not be that long. He's losing incredible amounts of his sight. Oh, my hair is sticking out everywhere. Incredible amounts of his sight in the past, 2 years, and even more in the 6 months. He is rapidly losing his sight. And he's like, you know what? I want to train hard, and I want to learn how to function as independently as possible with incredibly little or no sight. And I admire the man that he is on a street he doesn't know, in a town he doesn't know, running stuff with a blindfold on. That takes guts. But Bob the Florida Man, we were talking about what we do for fun and, are we still working? What did we used to do? All that kind of things that, once you are a person of a certain age, they start to go into your conversation. And he's in his late 50s. And he's like, well, I used to do this. But for fun, I still like to go out and hike, but that's getting a little more troublesome. And we were talking about canes that get 360 canes. They can go on in all directions and not just back and forth. And he's been working with those a little bit. He was saying, I used to get out and I would hike and I would hunt. He's like, but now I do crafts. And I'm like, oh, because I'm a knitter. And you never know. Everybody thinks, oh, knitter, little grandma. No, knitters knitting is popular with a lot of ages people. So I was like, oh, what do you do? And he went, well, I like to do wire wrapped work. I like to do jewelry, and I like to do like the little tiny objects. And he was like, you know what? I think on our routes today, I'm going to ask if we can go to like, Michael's or Joann's or something. I want to get some beads and some wire because I've got all this nervous energy and I need to work it out. So yeah, they went to, I think he ended up at Joann's Fabrics or something. It wasn't the greatest wire, but because he was trying to do, and he's real nervous, and he's trying to, concentrate and do this Zen thing. And, yeah, he was cussing for Addo for a little bit after they got back from their morning routes, and he's sitting in the little, it's the IRA's office, but it's kind of like a little gathering room. And then there's bigger, places with couches and more comfortable stuff. But he's sitting in the RA's office at they're set up like little restaurant tables, little booths. And he's sitting at the little booth, and he's trying to work with a wire, and it is not wanting to bend to his will. It's either wanting to bend too much or break. And he's like, this is crappy wire, blah, blah, blah. But he was showing us he's made flowers, he's made all sorts of little objects. And yesterday afternoon, he walked up to me and he surprised me, and he made me a little tiny wire and bead spider because it's close to Halloween. So now I have a little spider, and he only made them out for like a few other people, like some of the RAs in the office. He said he's going to give one to his O&M instructor today. But I just thought that was sweet. Now, like I said, my birthday, and everybody is like, oh, it's your birthday, happy birthday. Is there anything we can do? Is there anything you want? They made sure that, because they already make sure that you're cool with whatever you're eating. I was craving a bowl of mac and cheese. They went and made me a bowl of Kraft mac and cheese, which I just thought was so sweet. But we were already scheduled to do, they call it Michigan ice cream floats. And the reason why it's Michigan ice cream floats is because they try to source everything preferably locally, but at least within the state. So like all of the soda that they were using for the floats was made in Michigan. The ice cream was locally sourced. They asked me what kind of cake I liked, and I, of course, picked chocolate. Everybody in the dining room had chocolate cake along with their ice cream floats. And then toward the end of the meal, Craig, one of the food service workers, and he's a volunteer in a couple of different aspects, but I primarily see him when he's working in the dining room. Craig came out with I'd already had my little Michigan ice cream float, and he came out with another beverage size cup of ice cream with the little candle lit, and everybody sang me happy birthday. But I just thought it was so sweet. And I got hugs from people. There are some people in the dog group that I'm just now starting to meet because we've been so focused in on our orientation mobility group. Last night, and this was purely optional, people from the marketing department came down, and they were asking if you would be willing, especially if you're a dog client, because, the name of the place is Leader Dogs for the Blind, if you would be willing to have a series of pictures taken with you and your service dog, your leader dog. So most of them, probably 3/4, chose to have pictures taken because it's kind of a memento for them too. And they post them in different ways. There was one of them, her dog is known for being kind of rambunctious, so they got her down in the floor, and she and the puppy were, they were just, he was loving on her, and she was giving him scritches, and the photographer was just there to capture the moment. And I think it's sweet that they get those professionally taken photographs that they wouldn't normally have or would have to actually book a photographer for. And of course, you agree to it being used in marketing material. I don't know if there was anybody no, one person. There was one person in our whole group. O&M, dogs, everything. I think there was like one person who chose not to participate. And she's very private anyway. It was the second day before I knew her name. She's that private. But it was nice for perfect strangers to just kind of make a fuss over me, but mean it. And yesterday afternoon, we did some more training downtown, and it was me, my instructor Garrett, my friend Angie and Angela, and her O&M instructor Hannah. And we went into a couple like little knick-knack shops. One was called Catching Fireflies, and it's just kind of a little gift shop. It has handmade stuff, has some cooler mass-produced stuff, but they were still like, oh, that's neat. And Angie and I were talking because we ran across a display, and this is going to age me, of rollerball lip gloss. In the 70s, early 80s, lip gloss in a rollerball was a thing, and they were always heavily scented. They were flavored, and if you're kissing somebody, if a guy saw that you were wearing that particularly very wet looking lip gloss, they would go, can I see if I can figure out your flavor? And it was kind of a way for you to get a kiss from a guy. But I was like, Angie, they have rollerball lip gloss. And she's like, oh my God, I have not seen that since late 70s, early 80s. I'm like, same. And bless her heart, I'm not sure where Angie had been, or she was talking to somebody else, or just concentrating on something. She came up to me after dinner, and she's like, girl, I did not realize that today was your birthday. When we were at that little gift shop, I would have bought you something. I went, yeah, you probably would have got me the rollerball, wet lip gloss. And she's like, yeah, once I found out it was your birthday, that was kind of what I was thinking about. So who knows? I may go home with some rollerball lip gloss. But I'm having a great time. I'm being challenged. I did find out something kind of interesting. And I don't know if he meant to say this or if it just kind of slipped, because I myself am not I don't have a medical per se background, but I'm kind of medical adjacent. My sister is a nurse. A lot of her friends are nurses. Weirdly, a lot of my friends are nurses. So I pick up on a lot of medical stuff. Plus, I used to work in a physical therapy clinic. So there's a lot of things that, because I'm used to talking that way, I would ask my instructor more muscle-based or more medically based, for lack of a better term, questions about how we're doing things and best practices. And you can't help it. If you work in medicine or if you work medicine adjacent, you kind of pick up the way that medical people talk. And I don't know if he meant to say it. I don't know if he let it slip, but he said it. And then later on in the evening, somebody kind of reaffirmed it. As we're going through O&M, one of the reasons why this facility insists that you come to their facility and do O&M, even if you've been a cane user for forever, even if you've been a dog user for forever. They want to see how you're doing when you're not thinking about the dog, when you're not overly concentrating and trying to show all of your, the good parts. They want to see how you work when you're just walking around, everyday Joe, on autopilot, doing the things you do. And he was talking yesterday, and he was saying, yeah, I've already filled out like 70-80% of what we're going to evaluate for when you come back for your dog. And I went, oh, so basically because we have to send in videos to get in here. and it's not that like you're going to be refused, but they want to see where you are. And I said, so when I start filming my videos, you're just kind of look to see if I've backslid, whether I've picked up some of my bad habits again. And he was like, yeah, basically. And then he turned and he looked at me. He's like, oh, I think he kind of forgot he's not supposed to do that. But yesterday afternoon, we got to go down to, they call it Puppyland. It's the Canine Development Center. It is a $15 million building. They have vets. They have vet techs. The puppies, they will be inseminated there. A lot of them the natural way. They actually call the area where they do the actual mating, it's called the honeymoon suite. I think that's adorable. We got to see some puppies they were maybe 4 or 5 weeks old. They are actually going off to their puppy raisers, and they will be there for around 9 months to a year, occasionally a little bit longer. And here, when they are whenever they leave the brooding family and come here, once they're weaned and everything, they are just puppies. They play, they have all this stuff sitting around that they can tear at and throw around and fight over and scuffle with each other. I thought it was kind of sweet that in some of the rooms they actually have like Fisher Price, outdoor kids equipment, so that there's like a little slide that they can jump on and run down. There was like the little sand pits that you can find. They're shaped like turtles. They had one of those so they can jump in and out and run circles inside the little thing. But they can run here, they can run there, they can get their wiggles out. And I thought it was kind of interesting that they were actually just like using old kids equipment. They even have, and I think this is sweet, and it's something that people don't think about. They have a section that they're metal bars, but they call them the tree branches, because most dogs who are not trained, they don't think to look up. They look slightly above their head, but they don't look up. So whenever they start just very gently walking with them within the facility, they have these little metal bars, and they'll swing in and out so that whenever the dogs aren't training with them, they're back against the wall. But they start out at a couple feet from the floor, and like every 10 yards or something, the poles will be a little bit higher, and it's to train the dog to look up and not run you, the blind person, into a tree branch or something like that. Because the dogs are not trained to bark to tell you stuff. They just lead you around it. And that's one of the things why it's so important to have trust, because your dog is going to weave you in and out. If there's 2 people standing on the sidewalk, one's here, one's there, the dog is not going to go around the 2 people, even if they can hear him talking. They're going to go straight between the 2 people, which I think is hilarious. But it also works. It's a very highly trained dog, but it's a dog. We got to touch, didn't get to cuddle. The volunteer did not put it down, but we got to, touch and give scritches and belly rubs and stuff to one of the ones that has gotten big enough. They're actually going to their puppy raising family in a few days. I think they're taking off either the weekend or next week. But they were like, yeah, in just a few days, this one's going to go to his puppy raiser, and they'll be with him around a year, could be 18 months, and they work with him every day. They start learning how to. We're very polite here. You don't take the dog out to relieve itself or do its business, whatever. It's called parking. And we will laugh even the people who aren't here for dogs yet, they're like, yeah, I'm going to take the dog out to park. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go park myself. We're just going to run to the bathroom and, do our business. I think it's funny how quickly that has gone into my vernacular. But, it's just been an experience. They are still throwing tons of information at us. Garrett actually gave me a little bit of homework. He wanted me to do some stairs in the facility, and we're going to do stairs again today. But he wanted me to do some stairs in the facility. He's like, I understand you're tired if nothing else doing them in the morning, which is what I'm going to do, is go do stairs before breakfast. But he's like, giving you a little bit of homework today. And different people train at different things, perhaps for different reasons. We have people who, one lady, she had never picked up a cane before in her life. People had been doing human guide for her. And she's lucky to have family, but she's like, I want to be more independent. So we're all in different spots in our vision loss. And like I said, Bob, who's wanting to learn how to do things 100% no vision, I admire the crap out of him for doing that, because he's being proactive. But today, we were going to do it yesterday, but we had some things yesterday afternoon. Garrett decided we might be cutting it too close. We might end being late for the things that I had in the afternoon. We are going to drive down into Detroit, which is about 34 minutes away. Depends on traffic. And we're going to go to the Henry Ford Museum. Now, one of the things that I told him I wanted to work on was different sound conditions and different lighting conditions, because I live in a smallish town. It's like around 17,000 people. So I wanted to do bigger towns, bigger intersections, because my sister and I go away to sci-fi conventions. And I want to be able to function safely and confidently if I go to Columbus, if I go to Richmond or Raleigh or Pittsburgh, and me not be overcome by the different sounds and big city noises or louder and all the things. So we are going to go down to the Henry Ford Museum. He said one of the reasons why he picked it was because I told him I wanted to get better at escalators. I wanted to do a few elevators. If he could show me some things on like finding the buttons. He said me advocating for myself is not a problem. I do not have a problem with asking people to help me. I don't have a problem with helping other people. And I kind of figured out I am one of the more sighted of the blind people here, because like some of the volunteers, they were like, they are very, very trained to give us very oral directions. If you turn around 180 and that would be your 12 o'clock, walk here and you can feel for this and blah, blah. But like if we're among ourselves, we kind of watch out after each other. And I'm like, one of the ladies was having trouble finding this big cushy couch. And I'm like, okay, if you back up into your 6 o'clock, it's going to be about 2.5 steps. Because I can see shapes. I can see light and dark and colors, but everything is just really, really fuzzy. Where, bless her heart, this woman, she's down to just a little pinprick of sight. So she's doing most things non-visually. She's still working with the little bit that she has, but she's doing stuff non-visually. So, I found that we're all kind of like going into the, this is this way, and if you go past here and you touch this, then it's going to be on your left or your right, or we're learning to automatically push chairs back. But, okay, getting back on subject, we're going to go down to the Henry Ford Museum, which will be kind of cool. And they, it's low lighting because it's museum session. There's going to be noisy parts of the building. There's going to be not so noisy parts of the building. It's going to get me, and I'm cool with this part, but it's more practice interacting with people I don't know, that the only clue about me may be my cane now, my dog later. It's going to be low light. cause museum, and you have to have the, the low lighting so it doesn't, damage things in the museum. And we're going to do escalators and elevators and different terrains and things. I know we have that planned for today. I'm not sure what else that Garrett is going to pull out for me to do. I love the way that they very specifically will tailor things to you. They're pushing you, but they're not shoving you toward a goal. It's literally what you're wanting to work on. And Garrett, he was kind of astounded because not astounded, but he was kind of surprised because one of them, he had never been asked before, and one of them, he said he might train one person out of 20. One thing that I asked for, and he was like, you know what, we need to remind the people who are teaching the women, and he's like, and not to be sexist, but yeah, you guys are going to be more of a target. And the men will too, but he's like, we need to remind ourselves to offer self-defense with canes and just self-defense as a low vision blind person. We spent like a half an hour, me attacking him, throat punching him and kicking him. He showed me a way to scrape my foot down an attacker's leg. And he's like, I always urge my clients to, if they have not done so before, to start going to some type of martial arts, which I'd been thinking about maybe doing Taekwondo.